No, hello, nerds, and welcome. We are crossing the Nerdverse, bringing you yet another episode. My name is Travis. I'm joined, as always, by my fantastic co-hosts, Eric, Ryan, and Clark. We are back to full strength, to steal a hockey term. So, looking forward to this week's topic. We're going to be talking about geopolitical politics, something that always gets Ryan very fired up.
No.
Oh, fine. Live-action anime, then. Jesus.
That we can do.
Nobody wants
I'm excited about that
wants to have any fun. No, but big week. We've got everybody back. I want to start off with Clark, who was partying it up in Vegas.
Yeah.
Gotta tell us. Yeah, you gotta tell us about the trip. Did you win big monies?
You know she can't talk about Vegas.
Yeah.
I was like, did you meet up with like your Italian mafioso contacts? Or like, what's up?
No. I met up with my gaming friends. We meet every 3 years or so, and it's basically my old raid group, and we just get together and hang out. It was weird because as we were leaving, we found out that the MGM and Caesars had been mega hacked, and you couldn't even get up and down your elevator. They had little walkie-talkies strapped there. Luckily, we were staying in an Airbnb, but yeah, they paid out, I want to say it's either 11 million or 11 billion, because 11 million seems way too little, but 11 billion seems really high, but 11 is stuck in my head. They paid out something to get their ransom done. But yeah, it was kind of wild. And then they're also putting all of the stadium seating on the strip for the Grand Prix that's coming up, the Formula One.
Yeah.
So the strip was just completely a pain in the ass. It's more of a pain in the ass to get around on. But we played some craps, did a little drunk book shopping, which is my favorite type of book shopping. Had a pool. It was nice and relaxing. It was a lot of fun. Came back to a bunch of swag. So every year Bungie does a garage sale. And for $20, you just get anything that fits in a bag. It goes to the Bungie Foundation. And so I got a little, I don't know if actually you can see it. I got this guy, my little drifter.
Oh, it's the drifter.
Yeah, for $25.
Nice.
I got a Cade figurine. I got a freaking Destiny watch, because why not? Apparently
Why
we
not?
thought that was good. I would also like to profusely apologize to anybody who bought the Destiny game, cards, deck of cards. I tried to open that stupid box for at least 30 minutes before I just started gnawing on it. I don't know what we did, but the material we picked to make that box just made the little flip.
Adamantium.
Indestructible.
It was too bendy, so the flips kept jutting out, and you couldn't get. Oh my god, I was so mad at it, and I was I apologize profusely to anybody who purchased this item from us. And I got a 2017 calendar, so it's going to be helpful in a few years.
2017 calendar, yeah.
All right.
How was my last week?
You didn't go by CardCon when you were in Vegas? You didn't go by the big Magic the Gathering thing?
I thought about it, but I don't know enough about Magic the Gathering to not just be kind of
yes.
there.
Yes, these are cards. Yeah.
Oh, is this your pot of greed? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is this a track card, you say? Water card? All right.
Just mix all of your tabletop or TCG games together.
Exactly. I did see a really funny video from that where they were playing with the largest Magic the Gathering cards, and they were big poster board cards against the teeniest ones, and it was very cute to me.
My buddy Floyd has an addiction to the gigantic poster board cards. He collects those things
they look really cool as art. I really wanted to just see them walk around in a deck. Just holding a giant deck of giant cards would have made me very happy.
Happen to move it around with a forklift. It's got a pallet jack.
You want to be careful with pallet jacks and Magic the Gathering conventions. That was a big thing when somebody stole a whole pallet of Magic the Gathering cards.
I completely spaced that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that happened.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was a big thing.
It's just magic.
Yeah, I think they said it was valued at like a little over $1 million worth of Magic cards. They just took a
Yeah.
whole pallet, just walked in with the pallet jack, bloop, 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 lifted it up, walked right back
Walked
out
right
with
out.
it.
If you walk like you're confident, nobody's gonna question it. You're just like, what's
No-
going on? And
nobody
you just let them
questioned
go.
them. Nobody questioned them, but they got caught on like 1,000 CCTVs. Like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but
even when they were
Nobody-
putting
nobody
on their
cared.
like
Masks.
COVID style masks, yeah, they were just like talking with one another, and they're like, "All right, time to crime," and then just put their masks on and went and got it. Like,
did they say that? That is now the
I
new
hope they
best
did.
thing
I hope
ever
they
to
did.
say.
Like, yeah.
I'm gonna
Let's
write
go
that
for
down.
felony.
Time
Let's
to
just-
crime.
It's payday style where you just hang out, you talk
You
for a
just
while, then you put
stand
your
by.
mask on.
Yeah,
Time to crime.
put on your clown mask and rob the Magic the Gathering convention.
Oh man.
As one does.
What a wild group of people we are. Ryan, how was your week?
I had a pretty good week. Everything's really gotten cranked up as far as like intensity goes. My daughters have discovered the joy of extracurricular activities.
Yeah,
And
they're
so-
at that age.
Yeah. It's been a lot of running around, a lot of change of season stuff as spooky season comes on us and everything's starting up and all that jazz. And I got one daughter in gymnastics. I got another one that's in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So I
Thank
got
you.
one building robots, and I got one training to be in the Thieves Guild. And it's
Mathematics is just the long word for math, Eric. It's like when you combine numbers and stuff together.
but no, it's been pretty
Combine
good.
is when
Other
you
than
put
that,
two separate things.
On a very for real note on that real quick. So my daughter is doing math, and I am not good even at she's sixth grade
At
math.
this podcast? Oh, sorry.
I mean,
Uh,
I could do this all day. This is just talking.
Yeah,
But like
right?
I was trying to do some double digit like long division. I was like, this is nuts. The teacher had it was like 20 divided into like I don't know, like a million, like 6 million or something. I'm like, Jesus Christ, could we like a
Just
little
negate
smaller?
the zeros, my
yeah,
friend.
just
okay.
eliminate
It's been a
zeros
few
until
years.
it fits.
And I wasn't good
Negate
at
the
it
zeros
then.
and put them back.
Yeah,
Anyways.
it's like-
I'm like, holy
anyway,
shit.
2 and 6, that's 3. Now
so
cut
to
out
pull
the
us
zeros.
back on track here and away
YouTube
from
saved
that
I
me.
am
tangent.
so mad at you right now for not knowing
yeah, I was like, this
how
finance
many
person's
times
about.
2 goes into 6.
Let's
You got
just
cross
gonna
the
jump through
swords.
the screen and get you.
Cross the
Yeah.
swords.
I can't do long division. I'm still not good at it. It's been 30 years. I've given up.
I think it was from Rocket Power that I learned long division, where he's like, you gotta carry the pig. It was like their Hawaiian uncle was like, you have to carry the pig over the hill to then take it to the luau. And I was like, oh, okay. And now I just always carry the pig over the hill. I'm
And
pretty sure
people
it's
say
Rocket-
cartoons
weird-
rot your brain.
yeah.
Just weird associations for like long division. I just learned math and then found out that I didn't enjoy it. Like that's that's what I found out about math.
Well,
And
so
now I do it nonstop for my job. So here we are, full circle of.
I did a whole thing because both my kids are the right age where I had to homeschool most of their early stuff through COVID, right? And so I approached math very, very feverishly. I was very excited about math for the girls. That way they got it early, where it's like math is cool. And I did a whole spiel with them where I was like, listen, when it comes to math and the sciences, you're dealing with the language of the universe. You are dealing with how everything works. And the more complicated math you can do, the more crazy stuff that can happen in the real world. Like we have airplanes and spaceships and stuff because of math. And so I described it to my oldest as like, listen, this is as close as we get to real world magic. Like this is the magical language that things happen from. And since then, she's had her teeth into it. She's very, very good at it, wants more and more. And so I'm really, really excited about that. Which, of course, now she's off building robots with her friends. So that's not frightening at all. No, I definitely didn't create a Batman villain.
I have given up trying to avoid Skynet, and I now will just embrace our new robot overlords when that time comes.
But anyway, as far as Geek Week stuff goes, I've been all about Starfield. I cannot put it down. I have, same complaints as everybody else, ups and downs about it, but then today I just can't stop freaking playing it. So that's been my week.
Eric, what about you?
I deleted Starfield this week. I could no longer just do the constant missions that are so similar. So like I finally had to. I re-downloaded MechWarrior 5. Solid game. Yeah, I just couldn't Starfield's very solid, like AAA title and stuff, but the bases, the ships, like I don't know. Oh, and I learned math. And Ryan, just wait until your kids have to do clinics for their sports. That is just boatloads of fun and money. Just boatloads because they're not even playing games. They're just going to fucking get better at their sport. And I'm like, whatever.
Training.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
how you
well,
get better is by training.
wanna
Remember,
throw
we had an
athletes?
episode on Power Creep where we talked about how you don't just suddenly get better at something; you have to work at it. You remember?
I mean, some characters just get better. Just throwing that out there.
And
But,
that was something we
anyways.
complained about collectively.
Where they're
And relevant for tonight's
reincarnated.
episode.
Yeah.
And then other than that, I don't think anything, man. Like, yeah, it was just math and work and math. That was pretty much
And how about your week, Travis?
Well,
Better than working math?
I don't know. I think I'd have rather done math. Friday, I found out that Hamilton Beach, which by the way, 10 out of 10 review coming up for this food processor. I spilled some milk, and in my rush to get the paper towels to clean up said milk, I knocked the food processor blades off of the counter. They landed on my foot, and I will say this about Hamilton Beach. 10 out of 10 on blade sharpness because I now have 5 stitches in my foot, and I lost probably a good, I don't know, 8-9 ounces of blood.
That's a lot of money.
Oh,
Yeah.
here's the
And,
best part. So he sends me the pictures, right? Where he's like, dude, I just cut my foot open on a food processor. And it's gnarly. Like, the pictures are pretty gnarly. And so I'm looking at them, and I show them to my roommate, who immediately asks the question I should have asked, but never even crossed my mind. How did Travis get his foot in a food processor?
Yeah, I didn't dunk it in there. It's not like I was trying to dip my toesies to get the guac out of the bottom of the food processor, man. Like,
I got
Never even crossed my mind.
different text from his wife saying, "Ugh, now I'm gonna have to spend my Friday night in the ER." And then immediately after that, not for me, not for me.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I care about, honestly.
You should have just
like,
known
oh,
it was Travis.
Just like, oh, Travis is
Should've
saying
just
it's
known.
fine. No big deal.
I was like, he'll live. It'll be okay.
Yeah,
I'll be a great stepdad.
But it was interesting. It's the first time I've ever had stitches in my entire life. Yeah, so big head injury I got, they butterflied, like little butterfly Band-Aids. Because it wasn't very long, so I didn't need stitches. Other than that, it's been concussions, broken nose, broken fingers, things like that. Never required any type of opening up. So this was my first time doing stitches, and it was kind of interesting to watch.
It's weird to see your like skin like mush together and then
Yeah.
like seize. You're like, ah, because I'm like you. I've always just like, oh, super glue. You know, it's close.
Yeah.
Super glue and electrical tape.
Yeah.
It's my go-to.
So
It's
yeah,
so
it was.
weird.
It was kind of neat to see stitches, up close because I've seen them on my sister because she got injured a lot more in junior high and high school than I did, and now that we're older, she just has debilitating things like torn meniscuses and ACLs and things like that, and like now I'm the one going to the ER for stuff. So we've switched roles in that regard. But yeah, so that was my weekend was getting stitches and then having to pick my mom up from the airport the following day. Like, hey, sorry I can't really padoodle with you as much as we had originally planned this weekend, but I can't put any weight on my foot because it will burst open again.
Did you get one of those little like carts where you put your
No,
leg on
they
like this and then
they
you
didn't
like
give me
wheel
anything.
around?
They stitched me up and they were like, all right, you should be good. And I was like, okay.
Ooh.
I did go to the Citadel's, like,
What did you do?
My nerd thing is I did go to the Citadel. They had their 3rd year or 4th year anniversary, something like that. And they were doing a big, like, blowout sale. Well, not blowout sale, but they were doing, like, a big sale on on Warhammer minis, so I spent a whole bunch of money on models that I'm not going to get to paint for the next like 3 to 5 business years because I still have to work on Clark's stuff next. So, what you're next on the docket, Ryan? You got pushed back a little bit. I will paint your Vulcan later, mostly because I'm still mad that you picked Vulcan for the guy for me to paint.
Hey, I'm in no rush, brother. All good.
Yeah, don't hold your breath. It's going to be a minute. Maybe for your kid's graduation, we can talk about
Between
getting
the
you your
bleeding, the soon-to-be child,
Vulcan. Yeah,
things of that nature, there's not a whole lot Travis can do.
yeah, my free time's getting eaten up pretty quick. So, anyway, on topic. We're going to be talking about live
Yes.
action animes.
Speaking
What's
of
been
taking
good, what's
forever.
been bad.
I mean,
Go ahead,
most
Ryan.
of them up until now have been bad.
So I do, as we get into our main topic here, guys, I'm really excited to talk about this one. This is one that I'm very, very invested in with the live action anime adaptations, the good, the bad, the ugly, and particularly One Piece. But I am going to take the opportunity to make sure and tell everybody, no matter where you're listening to us, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're catching it after the fact on YouTube, or whether you're listening to us from your favorite podcast place, please take the time to give us a like, give us a share, give us a comment or a review. I know you get tired of hearing that kind of stuff, but it really does help us out. It's what keeps everything going. It's what lets us do this every week. So please give us some interaction, give us a share, tell your friends about us, and it would be greatly appreciated. But live action animes. I will be honest with you guys, the one I'm most excited about is One Piece because I really think this might be the first one that really crushed it, that I really, really enjoyed.
This is the only one I plan on talking about because all of the rest of them I refuse to believe were ever made. And I don't
Bleach
know if
was
it's
super good.
it's a live action adaptation of an anime. It is not live action anime because
Which is
we can't
professional
have
wrestling.
live action animation.
Yeah.
Okay, fair point. It's not live action animation, even though
Yeah.
the vast majority of it is CGI. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
throw that out there.
not the vast majority of it. A lot of that, I think only Luffy is CGI and maybe some of like the fight scenes, but I think Arlong and all of like the fishmen are actually makeup.
Well, I was
Yeah.
actually referring to like the backgrounds and the actual
Oh
world
yeah,
building.
well, I mean,
Yeah, actually,
But
I did like the sets they had for
oh yeah,
like the for Binky or Buki or
Buggy.
Buggy.
I did that on purpose. I knew his
Well,
name was
you're
Buggy.
making the joke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew his name was Buggy, but yeah,
I'm
that's a
gonna
I
big.
didn't know
give
any of
to
that.
you.
Oh, it's a big running gag for One Piece, even in the anime and the manga, is that he can't ever
Yeah.
remember Buggy's name, so he calls him like
Never
Binky and Blunky and like.
Dude, I could never get into the cartoon like the actual animated show of One Piece, but the live action.
So, like, just kind of starting off the bat, the live action, while the story is the same, the arcs are very different. Once you get into like, oh god, I think it's episode 3 when they meet Clawhador. Episode
Actually,
3
let me jump in right there.
yeah.
So for anybody that's listening, especially those of you that are listening
spoilers.
live, and for everybody that catches stuff afterwards, this episode is spoilers. It's
That show's
all it's
been out
gonna be.
forever. All kinds of people watch
Like,
it. We're good.
Well, yeah, but it's relevant to the live action. Live action's not been out that long.
If you
it's a
haven't
thing.
watched the live action, you get off this podcast and you go to
Go
your
watch
work.
it.
Why? Yeah,
Oh.
come back and watch this later, and then listen to us. Like,
Steal Nana's Netflix password and
So yes, big, very loud. No way to misunderstand it. This episode is going to be filled with spoilers, primarily about One Piece, most likely about Bleach and Death Note too. But yes, very, very full of spoilers. You have been officially warned. If you don't want to be spoiled for awesome pirate show, leave. Come back after you've seen it.
I mean, to be fair, even if you watch half of the live action and then 120 episodes of One Piece, you've still not seen more than like
a third of
10%.
not even.
Yeah,
tenth,
like 10.
yeah.
Yeah, a tenth of what's out there as far as One Piece content goes. So I'm excited, by the way, for the anime. I'm at the Oh, I forget the name of the arc. It's
I
the one
don't.
right before the Marines Ford. So
Inez Lobby? No.
no, it's
Okay,
after
so
Ines
let's
Lobby, but before Marines Ford.
actually
What's
cover that.
going
So
on?
Travis, you've just noted where you are. I am one of those that I have not watched the actual anime. I've not read any of the
Boy.
manga or anything like
Dang.
that. I have watched the crap out of the live action one. I'm absolutely in love with it, and I know it's going to piss off a lot of purists and that kind of stuff. But
I think it was a very good live action adaptation, and I think Oda had the ability to go back and do, because One Piece is what, 25 years old, something like that.
Yeah,
I
it's got
think,
some years to it.
yeah, when Oda started it, like it is painful to watch the first few arcs of, like, maybe the first arc of One Piece, like the episodes that the live action covers. I struggled through those. I way prefer the storyline as they did it in the live action. The one with Klahadore where they meet and get the going Mary and they meet Usopp. Oh, that was painful for me to watch in the anime. It
It was
was
like 30 episodes.
it was 30 episodes of him just being like, I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna punch you. I'm gonna fight you. Next episode, I'm gonna fight you. And I was just like, somebody has to do something or else I am going to turn this off. So I was very, very pleased with how they like shortened it, kind of got to the point. You got the characters' backstories a lot quicker. You understood the dynamics. Yeah, I was much happier with this storyline from the beginning, even though Mary had
But
to.
they had to do it though with how expensive it is. Like they wanted to do 2 more
Yeah.
episodes and couldn't
Yeah.
because of the budget. So I
At
mean, they had
18
to
million
find a
pop.
way to do it.
well, and financial reasons set aside, I'm going to be the first to admit that a lot of really great animes have this kind of problem, and it kills it for me. I've never been able to enjoy like Dragon Ball or any of those runs because of this kind of thing. I haven't been able to get into Desert Punk because of this kind of thing. And if I'm being honest, I'm struggling with My Hero Academia because of the exact same thing.
Ooh,
And so I'm glad to see that the live action took the relevant information. It assumed the audience was smart enough to fill in like, what's a fishman? And because they didn't really talk about the fishman until what's his name, Arlo shows up.
Arlong.
Arlong, yeah, they didn't talk about the fishman. I honestly, he kept popping up in like the next time in the previews and stuff. I assumed for like the first 4 episodes that Arlong and the Arlong crew somehow got to share a devil fruit power. I thought they were a devil fruit thing. And so I was like, man, how cool is it that your devil fruit power still lets you go in the water? Like, awesome.
That would
And
never happen.
well,
No
and it
devil
was
fruit,
like
no
Can't
water.
his
happen.
whole crew. And so I'm learning that as of now. Thanks, Buggy. And then the fishmen show up, and I was
mean
like,
Binky?
oh, they're just another Blunky. And so yeah, it lets the audience fill in the gaps that you don't need another 80 hours to fill in fishmen and their culture and their backstory.
You get
Especially
that
for
in a later arc.
yeah, well, and with Arlong, it's not relevant. Like, I mean, it's relevant in his motivations, I suppose, but yeah.
but a lot of people that were going to watch One Piece probably already watched the manga, and so they were also going off of that. So they
Watch
probably
the anime,
knew
not the manga.
or the
Manga doesn't
anime,
do anything
sorry, or
unless you
read the
read it.
manga. So when they released it, it was already such a big thing they could do something like that. Like it wasn't something they knew they could trim it on top of the fact that they had to.
I think it was just a really poorly written one that he was like, yes, I get to redo it, and like did it in a way better way that
Yeah.
probably would have gone. Like, I would have done it that way first. Like,
Well, and it was honestly
I was
one of my
good at
favorite parts when they're dealing with I can't remember the girl's name. The scene we were just talking about where we meet Usopp and there's the
I
big
cannot remember her name either. It's
can't remember her name.
Klahadore and
the sick girl.
The sick girl, yeah.
Yeah.
But here's
Plot
the thing. One of my
device.
favorite parts about that gives you insight into Luffy and how he kind of views the world is he's sitting there, he's super excited to talk to her, and he makes a bet with I think it's Zoro, where he's like, she's gonna give us a ship and
Nami.
she's gonna do it for free because I'm gonna ask. And they make a
Nami.
bet. And if they made that bet and then you had to spend the next 45 episodes watching to him build that up, it feels more like he's wearing her down. Whereas in the live action, you actually get to see kind of his charisma and the impact he has on people around him, and it feels more
Oh no.
empowered.
In the anime, they go run to the beach for 45 episodes and she's running through the forest and they like barely interact.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think in the anime they interact like maybe 3 times,
Yeah.
like in total. I will
He
say
has
it's a
way more
trend.
story time than this.
Yeah, it's a trend in anime, like especially early seasons of anime, of pretty much anything that's weird, slow build up. Because like even Dragon Ball sped way up the further you get into it. Like that first one, the Namekian arc with Frieza, it drug out like it did. And I think it's one of those things where they get signed on. It's like, okay, well, you have to make 60 episodes. It's like, I didn't write 60 episodes worth of material. Have him power up some more. Like, just,
Yeah.
just kind of that lazy buy off. But it happens in a lot of anime, and it is also, budget things aside, time constraint is a big deal. People are more apt to watch like 4-hour-long episodes in a row as opposed to watching a 4-hour film, even though it's the same amount of time. It's like committing to a 4-hour movie is too much, but 4 1-hour episodes, it's a different story. So they kind of,
and we've seen that. Sorry,
I was gonna say, and so they, obviously condensed on time, trying to do a massive amount in a short amount of time. So I mean, they just kind of narrowed everything down into a much easier scope to digest, which is always going to happen in live action adaptations.
Well, we've noticed it. I think we talked about it either last episode or the episode before, where that formula is being picked up by more and more people. You look at all the Disney stuff right now; they're doing 8-episode seasons, and it's because they want to do an 8.5-hour movie, but nobody will watch it. And so,
I think also one of the points I want to note is that when the anime and the manga, when the manga was being written, the anime was like up to date, and the anime actually had to pause for more manga chapters to be written. So some of like the filler that you get in One Piece, some of those long drawn out scenes is legitimately the animation studio like, we need another chapter.
we're just
Please,
dragging
for
their
the love
feet.
of God. So if you are going to watch the One Piece anime, there is something called One Piece. And I want to say it's a YouTube thing, and they cut out all of that, like, he's been falling for 45 minutes and we keep panning to his face, panning to him falling, panning to his face. Like, they cut out all of that.
Random obscure memory from his childhood.
Yeah, or like, there's one arc where they show the same exact flashback like 48 to 50 times in that arc of like 50 episodes. It's like every episode is this stupid flashback. They cut all that out.
Thriller bark.
Yes. I think it saves you like, so it's 9 days to watch all of One Piece, 9 or 13. I don't know why numbers are getting stuck in my head today. It's something like that, but it saves like 3 days of watch time.
Somebody needs to work on their math.
Somebody has way too many numbers just like rattling around in her head right now.
Like you're talking about the lady who works with nothing but numbers. Like,
I know, that's why I had to say it.
board decks do, and like I can prattle off all the numbers on my page, but I can't remember how many days it takes to watch One Piece. I've gone downhill. But I was really happy with how they did it. I mean, I was there for the plot, and by plot, I mean Zoro and Sanji.
I watch it for the plot. Just to fill in the blanks,
the guy that plays Zoro is a good-looking dude. Like, I'm gonna hand it to Clark on that one. That's a handsome guy.
I am so mad about how many people were upset about the guy who plays Sanji, saying he looks too old. I was like, I didn't think that. I'm very happy they didn't give him the squiggly eyebrow.
Oh my god, I know.
I was kind of wondering how they were going to handle that, and I'm kind of glad that they just didn't address it at all.
Yeah.
What were they going to do? Pencil them in? Like, no.
I mean, that's what women do naturally now. Is they just paint on eyebrows.
No, but like, how are you gonna like raise the curly Q eyebrow? Like, they don't work the same.
You just start them like way up here instead of down here. You just put them way up. It gives you more real estate.
Just to point it out, right now there's 8 episodes of the live action Netflix adaptation. in order to watch all of One Piece, the anime, without breaks, without sleep, it's 420.8 hours or 17.53 days.
17. Man, I didn't get either of those numbers wrong. But if you watch One Piece, you save like 3 or 4 days off.
Yeah, so now it's just 14 instead of 17.
Way more reasonable, guys.
way
That's
more.
like,
I mean, considering that's 72 hours of unnecessary like build-up, yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Well, and I'll be honest, I was excited to talk about this with you guys because I know Clark, you've seen it, right? Like you've watched the entirety of it, the anime.
of One Piece?
Yeah.
I have like 100 episodes left. I'm getting there.
Gotcha.
I believe in myself. I'm almost at 5th gear.
So I'm at 0 episodes of the anime right now. But I have watched the live action, and so that's a good compare and contrast. And you brought up Sanji, which I have to admit, as of right now, I think is my favorite character. I haven't learned all the names perfectly yet, but Sanji was the chef, right?
Yeah, he's the chef, and that's probably my favorite thing that he does in the anime is what Clark just did, where he goes, "Nami, my sweet," and he's just kind of like rubbery looking. He's got the big hearts for eyes and stuff, like super over the top, and yeah, Robin.
Yes. So, yeah, I don't know how lovey they're gonna make him in the like live action.
I was glad they didn't go overboard though, because I had read that and saw some clips afterwards, like, because I was curious about what they were like in the anime. And yeah, he's a little over the top.
That man is parched. He is thirsty. I can't believe he didn't die in the Fishman Island arc from blood loss. Because he gets the animated nosebleed all the time. He just like turns around and there's mermaids and it's kind of like... I think that's actually the thing where they're like, we need blood because our friend won't stop gushing out of his nose.
Stop having nosebleeds.
They gotta do that at least once though in the next season of live action. At least one point his nose has to just erupt. They gotta do it because all the anime does it. Like, I can't think of an anime where there isn't some guy that at some random point his nose blows up.
So I'm not gonna lie, I kind of hope they avoid a lot of those like big anime tropes because I want them to stay in the right realms, right? Like if you start trying to pull too much into a live action adaptation, it feels scummy.
I want that not the crossover. Like I want them to go like, hey, you know.
You can't do it. They've already tried it with other ones, so you know you can't do it. Like I brought up in the Facebook group, like animes and like no one's done a good one. And the only one that anyone brought up that was good supposedly was Alita. I haven't seen it. I didn't know it was an anime.
I like
Battle Angel.
It's a standalone movie.
Yeah, I liked Alita. I actually completely forgot about that. I liked Alita. I thought it was good. It's well received by a lot of my friends, but I haven't sat down to watch it with somebody who was big into the anime.
Yeah.
It was a good live action adaptation. I think this is the first time they've done one where it's like a very over the top anime, because One Piece is pretty like
it's pretty out there.
They big on the drama. Like,
I mean, I have a few. So the character that you're missing in Arlong Park is Hachi, who actually comes back, and he's an octopus fishman. They completely cut him out, and I was like, oh, why'd you get rid of Hachi? And then I was like sitting there thinking about how they were going to do Hachi just from like a budgetary standpoint, because he's supposedly an octopus who wields all the swords, and I'm like, that sounds very expensive. Good call. We can see Hachi later.
He wields 6 swords, you know.
That's right.
And here's the thing about that. Whenever I first started, looking into the fact that this live action adaptation was being made, there were a couple of red flags that jumped out at me immediately. And I must admit, the first one was you can't do stretchy characters. They're never well received in live action.
So hard to animate a stretchy character.
So stretchy, I thought was good. The only one that I thought was a little gross was when he becomes like a balloon to like bink off the cannonballs. I thought that one was like
gum balloon.
But I was like, that's a little weird and disjointed. But all the stretchy ones, I didn't have an issue with, and I thought I was going to
because they were so fast.
They were very fast. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But there is a couple of things that I get hung up on as a viewer. Maybe they address it in the anime, so I'm going to ask. Especially with Arlong, right? You have the Fishman pirate that's out there doing all this stuff. We've watched Luffy, take cannonballs, get shot, and you watch the bullet just kind of stretch him out and get pushed back. But he's still very afraid of like sharp edges and swords and that kind of stuff. Can he still get cut, or is he effectively
Oh
invincible?
yeah.
No.
He's pretty much immune to like bludgeoning. Effectively,
But any
being
kind of slash
rubber, but like
damage.
slashing, yeah, he's really susceptible to like heat and cold. I won't say really susceptible, but like he's affected by heat and cold the same as anybody else. Slashing, things like that. But yeah, most of your blunt force stuff and then like cannonballs and stuff, he just balloons himself up and catches them.
Like
Well,
if you hit him
and-
on the head with just like a dink with a club, he'll be fine because it dents. But if you like try and slice him with a sword, it'll go right through. Just like think silly putty. Like you can cut
Gotcha.
silly putty with a knife.
All right, second clarification about this. When it comes to devil fruit,
Yes.
now I'm a little shaky on the concept. And here's the thing. With One Piece, it hit all my favorite stuff. You got a weird world with weird rules. You got superpowers,
weirder.
you got
Yeah.
pirates, you got treasure and adventure. These are all my favorite things. But I'm a little shaky on the devil fruit because does seawater turn it off? Or can they just not swim?
So the gods are mad at them for having these extraordinary power. The god of the sea is mad at them for having these extraordinary powers, so it takes away their ability to swim. And
Okay.
salt water in particular, because it's seawater, and you'll also learn about sea prism stones, which also negate the power of devil fruit. It's basically just like condensed sea matter.
But it
to
does
help
turn the
ignore
power
these
off, right?
achievements.
Yeah.
So if somebody grabs Luffy, throws him in the water, he can't just stretch out.
He's a rock.
He can't
Yeah.
stretch out and just
No.
grab the ship again.
Mm-mm.
And so that's
He's
why
just
you were
a
talking about when I thought Arlong was a devil fruit mutation. It's like that would never actually happen because the seawater would just
Yeah.
effectively turn it off and turn it back human.
Yeah, you lose your ability to like swim at all because like it, canonically speaking, in the manga and the anime, Luffy as a child was a fantastic swimmer. Like it gets brought up when you're learning about his childhood, what a great swimmer he was, and that was one of his reasons he was like, I'd make a great pirate is because I can swim so good. And then he loses all of that as soon as he eats that devil fruit. It's all gone. And I will say, I think he'll drown in regular water because he can't swim. I think seawater actually makes him weak. Because I remember a
the
few
salt
arcs
makes
where,
him
like,
weak.
yeah, salt water or seawater, specifically seawater, has to be seawater,
Yes.
weakens devil fruit users. So not only can they not swim, but if they fall in the ocean, they just kind of like, and then sink.
So if you took a character like Buggy, who ate the hack and slash fruit,
Yeah,
and
Chop
chop fruit, there it is, and you threw him into the ocean, he would just die. His pieces would just float
Yeah.
apart. That's terrible.
well, no, he wouldn't be able to activate his
He
powers.
wouldn't.
So like,
Yeah, he
if
wouldn't
he
float
was-
apart. He would just sink.
yeah, he just sinks.
Talk about a way to control powers in a storyline. Like
About
whenever
pirates?
you have, yeah, like the one thing that can easily take out all the super powered pirates, the thing they sail on all day. That would be
Yeah.
like Superman could be taken out by skyscrapers. Like that's just
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
Well, that's why
it's-
you see so much success with things like vampire stories, because they are all powerful predators, but are pretty easy to take care of 50% of the time. You put them out in the daylight, they just
No, they twinkle or
Yeah,
sparkle,
they sparkle.
whatever it is.
That's only because they have a ring, I think is what Twilight justifies it with. I watched one very hilarious comedy, if that's what you think it is, when you watch it.
So yeah, I liked the idea, and their justification behind it I thought was really good, because you have effectively in One Piece a very extraordinary world, right? You have 4 different oceans that make up a vast coverage of this planet, and then you have these 2 kind of equators that are huge areas of just becalmed space. There's no current, there's no weather, there's no nothing
The Calm Belt.
in the Calm Belt, which I was really excited about because I didn't know that before I started watching the anime. And me and Travis have been working for several months on my homebrew setting for D&D, and we have an area that's very, very similar. And so I was excited to be like, oh yeah, somebody else is doing that. It's kind of cool. But I digress. And so then you have, what do they call it? The main line.
Red
Grand line.
Grand line.
Grand line.
Grand line.
And that's crazy chaos, right?
Which
It's
leads to the
crazy
new world.
weather and all kinds of stuff.
Level 20 characters. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
And so you have this really...
I'd probably put them like 12 to 15.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
20 is probably when you get to the new world.
Oh,
Well,
so
you
like
got to
the
start
Red
dealing with like the
Skulls
warlords
is
and
definitely
stuff.
the Grand Line.
Well, you'll get warlords, and then you'll get the emperors.
Yeah. And then you get
Gotcha.
like the... So in the live action, you don't meet his grandfather until way later in the anime. Met him
Yeah.
surprisingly early in the live action with
Yeah, the
Garp.
Vice
I
Admiral.
love Garp.
Mhm.
Oh
And so-
my gosh.
That's the guy that caught Gold Roger, right? That's what his big claim to fame was. He was the one that hunted down and caught Gold Roger, right? So super
Because they were
powerful
friends.
guy.
You could tell.
Normal dude. Like, I say normal guy. He's just human. No devil fruit powers with that guy. And his go-to move is to throw the cannonballs because it travels faster than if they shoot them.
Yeah.
That's how he sinks pirate ships, is by yeeting cannonballs, right? Not an effective strategy against Luffy, who just puffs up and
Bounces
bounces
back.
back. Yeah,
Just
so
Kirby's it.
that was actually like really true to what happened in the anime when Garp is chasing him. He was just like, he does the thing where he hands one of the guys his coat, and then he's like, "Bring me 1,000 cannonballs," and they were like, "He's gonna do it," and he just starts like throwing them, and Luffy's just like, "Damn it, Grandpa, I'm trying to leave," and so he like balloons up and pops one back, and it hits him. So like Garp just takes a cannonball to the chest, and he like looks at his crew, and he's like, "I can't believe my grandson would hit me," and they were like, "You just got hit with a cannonball, and you're mad that your grandson threw it back." Like,
I love his hat and the no explanation of his hat. His little puppy dog hat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
his
it
little-
just disappears. Then it just
Yeah.
goes away. No explanation. It's just
Did he have
it's
it in
like
the anime?
you hat where you
got
can
that
pull the
dog
things
in him.
I mean, you can wear what you want when you can do what he does. I'm just throwing that out
That's
there.
true.
You
And
Okay,
can
I
leave.
so-
really love what they did with Kobe as well.
Yeah,
Let's talk a little bit of setting stuff. So we have the Devil Fruit, which is a main drive for the entire show, right? Effectively, a magic fruit that gives you superpowers, but eating it pisses off the god of the ocean, which is in control of a vast amount of this particular setting. So where did the Devil Fruit come from? Do we know?
I don't know yet. I think they can show up anywhere, if I remember
I-
correctly, but there's only one type at a time, which means
Yeah.
that since
Kind
Luffy
of.
has the Gum Gum fruit, no one else can find a Gum Gum fruit. So there's not going to be anybody with identical powers. Now, I
In
believe that once somebody dies, that fruit can grow again.
yes,
Okay,
I know
so-
I've been told how they like become, but I do not remember. And I will say, people later on in the story do experiment with how to try and recreate a devil fruit.
I know that the big thing in the setting is that eating one gives you power, but you can't swim anymore and it gets turned off by seawater. I do know that you can only ever have one. Like, effectively, you can't eat multiple devil fruit without exploding or some similar fare. There are exceptions.
Can you? Can't you? Who knows?
There are exceptions to this. One exception to this. But that was one thing that I was very curious about is, well, okay, I get the premise. I'm with you. You got the devil fruit. But in my head, I immediately canonized it where it's like, okay, eating the devil fruit pisses off the god of the ocean, which means the devil fruit's coming from some other god that is like putting them on the planet as this spiteful thing. And so my question lead up was, how interactive or involved are these deities, these entities in the anime?
None.
0. Yeah.
You'll never hear about them other than just he's mad that you ate a devil fruit. Well, unless you consider Enrei, but he's not really a god.
He's just a guy who
Just
calls
Dark's
himself
just
a
gonna
god.
be Luffy fighting gods. That's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out
I'm
there.
I
really
mean, eventually
hoping
it's going to
that-
get to that point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the episode title is like Luffy versus God Enrei. But Enri just calls himself a god.
Yeah, that guy just
Um,
he's self-imposed aggrandization in that one.
yeah, but yeah, you'll never see like celestial. Well, never mind. The celestial's a wrong word to use because you will see celestial dragons, but you'll never like the deities they're just
So
that's
there is
their
an
hand wave.
explanation, but they're not active pieces.
Yeah, they're a hand
Okay.
wave of this is why it's here and this is why you can't swim. All right, off you go.
See, I
And,
kind of like
there's no-
that, and I hope they keep it that way because that's something that can
So
really
far.
kill an
So
arc
far.
for me. Well, you look at Star Wars, right? There are several instances in several of the animated Star Wars where they end up meeting the embodiments of the Force, and you have the grandfather Force and the light side, sibling and the dark side sibling, and there's a whole arcs about them interacting with particular Jedi or characters. Same thing happens during the Clone Wars. Same thing happens to Luke, I'm sure, and in the books it gets super squirrely. And that kind of power, that kind of interaction, I think detracts from the overall story when you've built something that's a little bit more grounded. And so with One Piece, I'm glad to hear that it's like, oh yeah, he's not out there like pissing off Triton and making deals, and he stole Triton's food because it's Luffy, and now it's a whole thing.
Yeah, but a lot of anime though stays pretty grounded, like in the sense of like not outrageous, like regular cartoons and TV shows and movies.
That time I got reincarnated as a vending machine is super realistic. I
don't mean not realistic, but it's not as like. I mean, it's not as outrageous. Like
you don't put down Vendi Pie.
Well, here's my thing about
that anime.
When you start dealing with anime,
it stays decent though. Like animes, like especially ones that are trying to be like an actual, like when they're trying to be a certain way, just like regular people TV shows. But the thing is a lot of regular people TV shows / movies still go at some point to some outrageous, stupid shit to ruin what's going on when it lasts too long. I've never found that anime generally does it. Like when you look at them, the longer they go, I don't find it as bad, and it still plays into the story. Like I just don't think it's as bad.
Instead of taking 20 episodes, it took 200 episodes to get to that point. It just kind of leads you into it.
Here's
my
thing.
What do you consider outrageous, stupid shit? Because I'm pretty sure that's what One Piece is, just a string of outrageous, stupid shit. Just God's not.
But it's kind of geared, but it's geared that way. Like it's none of it's based like that's what I mean. Like if you watch
it's unhinged from the beginning.
Yeah,
like even if you watch like Bleach, if you watch Bleach, it's outrageous, stupid episodes were generally part of the like filler that isn't actually part of the show.
So what I was referencing more
step it up.
is things like
fighting demons in his realm, and then now he's in like the afterlife.
Yeah,
fighting demons there.
I'm going to bring up: is it wrong to pick up chicks in a dungeon? Because I love that anime. So it's great, but immediately one of your main characters is a god in human form who's like invincible and all powerful. And this is
but she's not
frequently
she's
in
like
anime.
A god, and like they can't really help everyone out, so there's like limitations because she doesn't want to start a
She's super poor.
Yeah, she's poor god.
Yeah,
she has to work it like as a fry cook. Like,
yeah.
Well, and this kind of
starts out to be cheesy.
French fries.
Yeah, well, and these kind of tropes are what I was referring to, because you take One Piece, for example, you have 3 kind of groups that you belong to, because you have pirates, Yar, then you have devil fruit eaters, who are effectively
sometimes
super powered. It's still pirates in Yar.
Yeah.
And then you have fishmen. And they're sprinkling.
I'm excited for you to expand these categories like almost immediately.
Yeah, season 2 is gonna be a big deal for you.
Yeah. Well, but here's the thing: when you have
this is what parenting feels like when your kid learns to walk. You're just like, oh my god, baby boy, you're doing it.
So if you took something like that, and then immediately, I'm going to use One Piece again as the example, they immediately drop down, Cynthia Fancy Name, daughter of the Sea King or Sea God, and she's got cool, crazy powers. It kind of defeats the whole purpose, right? Like, yes, she's a unique example, and yes, whatever, and One Piece hasn't done that as of yet. Now, there's
Yeah.
a lot of characters that are super powerful that they don't bother explaining, kind of like Luffy's granddad. Like, there's no why he is the way he
It's a
is. That
training arc.
Because
Yeah.
he's worked
he
really hard.
montaged.
He does do a past montage.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that they don't just have, oh, we need to balance out the power, so here's God's second cousin Larry. Plunk.
Yeah, it's not supernatural. It's not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where do we go now
exactly.
that we've killed the root
Again,
of all
the
evil?
show that
We
was
get-
good
Yeah.
that got crazy.
I will say for One Piece's sake, it's never one person. So like you're gonna learn about hockey, which is a power to like control presence almost.
So it's a kind of magic.
Like Key.
Kind of. It's more like intimidation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Forced personality
intimidation,
kind
and
of
you can
thing.
use it to like create barriers. Kind of. Its presence is kind of how it's described. So you'll
You've-
learn about that, but not one person has it. It's hockey users. So
Oh, okay.
So
You've watched
you
a
don't
lot of
have
Bleach,
the
right,
devil
Brian?
to have it either.
I watched Bleach all the way up to the Mod Soul arc, and then went no more.
So
That's
So
when we
ho-
gave up.
there's a type of hockey in Bleach. You know the one where he fights the crazy guy that has the bells in his hair?
yeah.
He uses hockey where he's just like, "Urgh," and like everybody just kind of gets crippled with fear around him.
Oh, it's like the pressure kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
it's
kinda.
it's almost exactly like that. Like it's very, very similar. It's the force of like your personality or the force of your ability.
Darth Vader.
Hockey allows people to hit devil fruit users. So like you'll meet Captain Smoker. He can become Smoke. How the fuck do you hit Smoke? You use hockey, which allows you to touch him. So like it makes certain people better but balances out certain people who would have been OP. Like you'll meet some guy who has the gas fruit. He's fucking gas. How do you hit gas? You punch him with hockey. So like
How do they name these fruit, by the way? Is it just something like whoever eats it gets to come up with, or?
So
no,
everyone's
it-
unique, and you don't know what it is until you eat it. Is
You
also
can
one of those
have
deals. So
some
you can get like
idea.
a super awesome power from eating a fruit, or you can get a really lame one, like the dude that turns into a giraffe person.
Yes!
Hey,
Oh, awesome
He-
party trick.
I hated that. I thought the lady was way worse when she turns into like soap and she just makes everything like
Yeah.
slick. And I still don't get
Another great party trick.
Yeah.
the lady who you meet at the beginning. I can't remember her name. Who's like beating up Kobe. She eats the smooth fruit and then becomes ridiculously good looking.
Avila.
And I'm just like, I don't. Oh yeah, Avila. I was like,
Oh, she comes
Yeah.
back.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Well, maybe. I don't know if she does in the live action.
yeah.
but,
There's
like,
like a
she
cutaway
just
at like the
looks
last
really
episode where she's talking with somebody.
She's
And
talking with Buggy because they
Yeah,
team up.
w-
in the
yeah,
end.
yeah. Her and Binky are together.
By the way, I was not a fan of Buggy in the anime, and I couldn't figure out like the kind of like fan worship of him. Oh my god, I love the actor who played him in the live action.
He was so
So-
much darker and like
So
sadistic.
good
I
and
loved it.
unhinged. And like sassy and sarcastic. Like the sarcasm maybe didn't land in the anime the way it should have. But him in the like so well
Oh,
done.
yeah,
I like
it was
all the
ama- Oh god, the thing about the nose, where you
So that was
instantly
never-
like realize that, because that was something that got brought up all the time in the anime. They're like, don't talk about
Oh.
his nose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
they
like, so they
mentioned
had
it
to
in the live action and then never went back.
Well,
it gets
it's-
brought up a lot.
Yeah, so it gets brought up a lot in the anime, but he says something about his nose, or he's like, "Is that real?" And then he goes to touch it, and like the only nod you get that sends Buggy off the end is everyone just going, because they know he's gonna snap like about it.
I was so
Gotcha.
happy they did Tiny Buggy. Oh my god, so cute. When he's just like head, hands, and feet.
Well, and that's actually why I asked about whether salt water would turn off his powers, right? Because I'm gonna be real honest with you guys. I did my best to try to finish it up. I didn't get through the last episode. But that's okay. I've settled myself into spoilers. It's okay. I'm still going to watch it because I love the show. But they're carrying around his head in a bag. And he's
Yeah.
like leading them to Cocoa Village and doing all this kind of stuff. And part of the deal they made is like, oh, we'll get you your body back because Fishman,
Arlong.
Alfonso? Arlong.
Alfonso.
Alfonso? Arlong has his body.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, one bad wind, right? One bad wave hits that bag. He's just
He's
dead.
dead. Yeah.
He's just dead.
Yeah, big ups, big downs with
That's crazy.
with
Because,
some
I
devil
mean,
fruits.
he's effectively invincible unless you get him wet.
Yeah, I think
Well,
there's
so
like
you'll
some
find-
conditions to it, so you can't just like
Yeah.
christen them, with salt water and it just immediately go like bleh. They have to be like there has to be a
Still
significant amount, like yeah.
Well,
But-
and you
have to,
kind of
like,
see that
dunk
in
'em.
the live action because Arlong takes a handful of water and splashes Luffy with it in their fight, right? And Luffy just shuts down. He just stops. And that's where I was just like, man, it's not just that they can't swim, because that in and of itself was kind of like, oh, okay, you can't swim. Like, cool. I've seen sea beasts. I don't want to swim anyway. Deal. But having it just turn off when you get hit by a fair amount of seawater is crazy. Like,
So
That's
that's
the
the
most-
reason Zoro can't have a devil fruit, is because Zoro and Sanji never get devil fruit, and that's because they need to jump into the water and save everybody else on their
save
crew.
all the time.
As
Yeah,
devil
you're like
fruit. They're the
'cause-
lifeguards of the going area.
of the Straw Hats. Which the most thing I'm most excited about for season 2 is hopefully my favorite character will finally get to make an appearance, and that's Tony Chopper.
I am so nervous about how they're going to do Tony Chopper. It's
I
either
know,
going to
I
be
want it to be
glorious or it will haunt my nightmares.
I want it to be so good. Like I want it to be so good because he's my absolute favorite character. I love Tony Chopper. And
Why?
Because he cracks me up. He's like every insecure person I've ever known that's secretly awesome at something.
Stop it! I hate you. Don't
Yeah,
compliment me.
He's
you're
a
jerk.
merchandising mascot. He's Olaf.
I don't care. He's amazing. He can actually get
Giant
super
rat.
dope because when he eats enough of the little rumble balls, he turns into a freaking Leshen, like from Witcher 3. You
But
should
he
see
can't
when he.
control it.
I don't care. That's dope. He's like 19 feet tall and like was just bodying bitches for free. Like he beat up Frankie. He beat up that weird devil fruit guy that laughed by going pa 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 pa, which I hated. Yeah, he just
So he
was
is-
smoking people.
I
He-
am very nervous for Frankie as well. Frankie's like my
Okay.
least favorite Straw Hat. He's just annoying to me.
You know,
That's
like
the
the
skeleton?
Speedo guy.
In preparation
no,
for
Brooke is
tonight,
amazing.
I did
Yo.
pull up a list of primary protagonists, and I was going to talk to you guys about that. So, Travis, you said Tony Chopper.
I love
That's
Tony.
who you're looking forward
Yes.
to the most. We have seen, obviously, Nami, Sanji, Luffy. Let's see, we have
Well,
Usopp,
Frankie Raiden
Zoro.
knows with Usopp as well, like as character
Yeah,
changes.
I like
That
his
was
new character
so
look compared to the anime.
It
Are there
also
any-
made me hate him less before the time lapse. I was not a
Yeah.
big Usopp fan before the time lapse because he's kind of worthless, but they
Yeah.
made him at least not annoying.
What's his name?
He did have probably one of the most glorious moments during the Thriller arc, where they're getting attacked by this lady can create like ghosts that just imbue you with negative energy.
Oh yes.
Where they're just like, I'm just terrible. It's like I should just like I wish I was a cucumber because I'm a terrible pirate. I think was literally like verbatim a line. And they hit Usopp and they were like,
Just
aha,
ennui.
he'll be crippled with negative thoughts, and he just stands up and puts his hands on his hips and he's like, they have no effect on me. I have a negative personality. Like,
I already saw this about
Yeah, he's
myself.
he's like,
And I'm just runs off.
I already hate myself. Like, your ghosts have no effect on me.
I can dig on that. Now,
He
Eric,
still
you
doesn't
said you
deal
haven't
with
watched
that,
the
no?
anime, correct?
Yeah, no.
So, Travis, you're excited about Tony Chopper. Clark, what about you? Is there any protagonist or primary character that you were just chomping at the bit to get into the show?
So I have a weird soft spot in my heart for Boa Hancock. She's not until a very long. She's just unhinged to me, and I love it immensely. But I'm not. We won't see her in the second one. I'm excited
No.
for Brooke. He's a living skeleton, and he's just like sassy.
He
Honestly,
makes such
He's
terrible.
Hades.
He was like, I can't believe my eyes, and I don't even have eyes.
My
And then,
heart
like-
might explode. I don't even have one. Like, it's
Yeah.
just shit joke after shit joke, and I'm super excited.
Well, and he does this
there-
deal where he pulls on his hair and his skull like comes apart, and he puts
Yeah.
stuff in there and then puts it back down.
And he
Yeah.
heals by drinking milk. I
Yeah, he's
love
like,
it.
I'm healed by the power of calcium. I think is verbatim also a line in that deal.
There's so I mean, A1 Zoro, A1 since day one. So
Yeah.
like my favorite protagonist is already in there. But Vivi, I think it is Vivi, her duck.
Vivi.
The duck. I don't want Vivi. I think Vivi's worthless. People have tried to pitch me as to why she's a great 10th member of the crew because she's got political power and she can political things. I'm like, cool, how's it going to help me in a pirate fight? Don't care, pass. But her duck. I can't remember her stupid duck's name, but it is awesome. She gets to ride around on it. He's part of like the Duck Force One. Oh my god, I love him so much. Now I have to Google who it is.
All right, so while you're doing that, tell me about and I might be saying this wrong. Jinbei.
Oh,
Jinbei.
That'll be a hard one to physically do.
Karu is the name of the
yeah.
duck.
The duck.
So Jinbei is going to be a hard one to bring to the live action. He's a fisherman. He's their helmsman, I believe, the guy that steers.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
He's the son of a god of the sea, a son of...
Oh, great.
again, self-proclaimed
Not-
god of the sea, like not a...
Yeah, it's not like the true god of the sea, but he's like a son
Yeah.
of a powerful entity.
You know how
He's
Xerxes
got magic
called himself a god, like he was a living god on
Yeah.
Earth. You know, it's like that. He's like, I'm the son of a god, and it's usually a self-proclaimed.
So you got the mojo to back it up, or is it just a narcissism thing?
He's pretty dope.
Pretty big boy strong.
Yeah, he's depicted very much like a sumo, like sumo wrestler
Mhm.
style.
Okay.
I think he is also a hockey user as well, if I remember correctly.
Yes, hockey, but no devil fruit.
Yeah, no devil fruit.
And
He's just
then we have.
big and strong. Not Zoro strong, because Zoro's got stupid strength.
Well, yeah, but he's Zoro, man.
So,
Yeah.
so we've done a lot of talking about One Piece, and it's pretty epic. But on
And
a
I
very
love
for
walking
real
through it,
note,
so.
we have to know, like, to get a little bit more like serious from the like everything else. Why did this work? Like, what is your official like one thing? Not some big long spiel. Like, what is it to you that you made this work? Like, I'm not gonna have any reference to the anime or manga when I say mine, so it has nothing to do with that. But like, if you look at the other ones, Rurouni Kenshin didn't work. I thought it was because it was cheesy and over the top. You look at like Full Metal Alchemist, kind of the same thing.
Yeah, Attack on Titan.
Yeah, and a lot of the ones you look at, even some of the ones like they did in the States, because a lot of those were made in Japan, I want to say. Sorry. Those live actions. I think they did. Scarlett Johansson played in it, that live action one. What was that one, the controversial one? She was in the
Talking
anime.
about- Talking about
Oh.
Ghost in the Machine?
Ghost in the Shell. Yeah,
Ghost in the Shell. I keep saying machine. It's
Bad.
Ghost in the Shell.
another bad one. So like,
It was okay. It wasn't great,
I'm just.
but it was not terrible.
So what made this work? What is that thing that like got this to work?
I'm gonna let
We'll start
Clark go
with Clark.
first. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of have two, and they kind of go hand in hand. One Piece is just bananas, absolutely wild. So they tamed it down. They didn't come in with the same level of just bonanza and fanfare and flash and kerpow. They tamed it down to what would be more realistic in reality and not anime. And two, they let the characters behave the way that the characters would. I have a real issue when they take characters, and I had this issue in Witcher in like some of the later seasons where they take a character and the character makes a choice that's out of their personality. There's a saying that like when Luffy stops smiling, Zoro starts smiling, and Sanji stops simping, run. And all of those characters like fit that arc. Nami played her character really well, like super strong, not Like, she did the whole stabbing in the arm scene fantastically. Like, I think they just let the characters be their characters. And the main actor who plays Luffy, I'm pretty sure, is the goblin that is Luffy. He has a skit where he talks about pecan pie, and it's not even a skit, it's just a question. And he's like, "What is this? And he's like, "Oh, pecan pie?" And he's like smiling the whole way, and he's just like, "Gross." And I was just like, "Well, yeah, that is the goblin that is Luffy." So I think they didn't try and overdo it. They made it real, and they let the characters behave like the characters would behave.
Let Ryan go next because he hasn't seen the anime yet, Travis, before you go, so we split it up a little.
True.
So again, like Clark, I kind of have two. The first thing I'm going to say that One Piece did different than every other live action anime adaptation I've seen is it made me want to watch the anime. And for me, I've done it in both directions. I watched Attack on Titan after falling in love with the anime. Absolutely hated it. I watched Death Note without ever seeing an episode of the anime. I absolutely hated it. I liked Ghost in the Shell. I thought that one was done well. I liked Alita Battle Angel. I think that One Piece makes me want to go back and watch because they present the world in a smart way. They present the characters in a smart way, and it makes you hungry for more information. The second thing about that is I'm going to duplicate what Clark said. They take the feel and the vibe and the attitudes of the anime and the characters, and they let them keep those. But they get rid of all of the super goofy shit. They don't take themselves too seriously, but they do tone down the anime wild craziness of it into something that is a lot more understandable to the audience that you would expect to see in this world and our expanded limitations rule set that we are presented with. And I think that's a big part of it is it's kind of like the Ninja Turtles, right? You let the Ninja Turtles be Ninja Turtles without making them, super serious all the time, and you do really well. And so I think that's what they did is they presented you to the world in a very responsible way without taking themselves seriously.
See, and my big thing on it, I think, was they made it, and Ryan touched on it a little bit, but they made it digestible. They made it to where if you hadn't seen a single episode of the anime, you could watch this and be just fine. This is a big hang up I have with a bunch of those other live action adaptations from anime is that they expect you to have watched that anime before you watch this live action. One Piece is super easy to digest because they kept everything simple. They didn't do over the top fight scenes where he does like crazy stretching things all the time. They did it just enough for you to know he's got the power and that's how he utilizes it, it's how he fights. They did the same thing with they did some very clever cuts for all the fight scenes. And then they cast it very well. I feel like they picked people that fit the part, that could act the part. And I gotta
Yes.
say, out of everybody, Zoro is probably the best actor out of that entire group, in my opinion. Again, that's just my personal opinion.
He's
But
done a lot of like crossover stuff too.
yeah, they kept it very simple. There's like, we're going to do hour-long chunks. We're going to condense the story down to where it's very easy to process. None of this is going to be wild and convoluted. You're going to know who the bad guys are because they're going to behave like bad guys. Your good guys are going to behave like the good guys. And they did enough. They sprinkled in enough of that character behavior that Clark was talking about to where you would still connect with him. Luffy's still the wild, crazy, in-your-face dude. You have Zoro, who gets lost all the time, which they'd made 2 nods to in the show, which was absolutely amazing without making it too over the top. Like when he accidentally rescues Luffy and he was like, "You came back for me," and he was like, "I was looking for the house." You know, portrayed Nami correctly. She was making character choices that her character would have made in the anime, and it was all stuff that is very simple and easy to transfer over into a live action thing without it being over the top. And I think that's where a lot of those live action adaptations go very wrong, is trying to have these big, grand, explosive, crazy CGI fights, and it just doesn't translate as well.
I think that's really the head of the nail right there. I think it's perfect. Casting is a huge thing. If you cast incorrectly, it will ruin the entire thing. And I started looking. I know it was a big controversy amongst fans, but I loved the live action Cowboy Bebop. I thought it was fantastic. I've watched it several times, and I think the casting is amazing. And One Piece put them to shame. I think the casting in One Piece, as somebody that hasn't watched the anime other than looking at videos on YouTube to try to explain questions that I had, I think the casting's brilliant. Particularly with Zoro and the warlord guy with the big sword. I can't remember his name.
Dracula Mihawk.
Yeah. I think that
I liked him.
So my only thing is I think casting was great and put it over the top, but I think the biggest thing is what everybody's alluded to in a sense is they didn't try to go over the top. So when you watch anime, it's
Keep it
got those
simple.
cliche things, and they didn't do it. So my biggest fear is they would try to do the fighting things like Roni Kenshin. I absolutely love the anime. I actually really like the new one that they're doing, that they've altered the story a bit. Really well done. But the live action, the problem I had with it was a lot of the fight scenes, well, kind of cool to look at, really took away from the story, made it like completely unrealistic. When you watch One Piece, at least for me, I didn't watch the anime or read the manga or anything like that. It almost was like that world could be a real place. Like it wasn't completely unrealistic, and Luffy wasn't portrayed as some outrageously powerful person. So it was still stemmed in the reality. Now, as they go along with the more outrageous characters, it's going to get interesting as to what they're going to do. But they were smart to not put too much in these first 8 episodes to see how people reacted. So I think they're going to slowly grow it, probably a different way than the manga and stuff, just to make sure they don't include too much craziness at once, because that's really, to me, what sold it. Yes, the cast was good, but plenty of great movies with casts. It's the way they handled the absurd things like the stretchy.
Go ahead, Clark.
I think also the editing to the story helped a lot. So, like, Nami and Zoro never have that drinking game in the anime, but it was the perfect way to tie her character into this group of having friends.
Without
Because
having to
in
do
the
a
anime,
backstory episode.
exactly, they condensed the story well, and they were willing to not necessarily piss off like diehard manga and diehard anime fans by having a different story, but they're like, hey, these are your same characters that you love. We're just gonna portray them meeting up a little bit differently, and they took that risk. But the story itself was good. It wasn't risk for like risk's sake. It was actually like a good cohesive story where you're like, okay, I don't care. I love Nami. I'm here for it. She would do a drinking game with Zoro. Like even the changes are within character. Like Zoro's our alcoholic. He will do a drinking game with anyone. If you listen to the rules, they made no sense. They both drank randomly if he got something right, but she got it wrong and they still both drank. And you're like, what are these rules?
Zoro's going to take any excuse to drink, which I loved that he was just slamming drinks when they got to Baratier. I was wondering how they were going to handle it without him making him look like a total sot.
Oh my god, the sword thing where he couldn't sit on the right. Like that was just so good.
Yeah,
that's a big point for me. Is I like the fact that they kept a lot of the anime stuff in there. You know, Zoro fighting with a katana in his teeth. You know, it's in there.
3-sword style.
Yeah. But they also take the time to poke at how wild it would be to walk around with, you have your 3 swords out, you know, or how inconvenient it would be to, you know, to go through all this kind of stuff. So that's kind of the tempering that that Eric brought up, is like they're over the top. They still keep a lot of that anime over the top stuff, but they also make fun of it a lot, where it's like, see what happens when you try to do this.
Zoro gets made fun of all the time for carrying 3 swords until he pulls the armband off and it becomes the bandana. Like she said, when Sanji stops simping, when Zoro smiles, and when Luffy doesn't, things have gone wrong for you. Not for them. Things are about to go very right for them. Things are going to go very bad for you. But yeah, they will God, they will ruin a town. But yeah, I like I said, I touched on it. Clark's touched on it. Ryan touched on it. Now Eric's touched on it. Is they kept it simple. They made all of these things very easy to digest for both new viewers and diehard fans, and I think it's gonna kind of green light some more over the top as they go forward, as long as they sprinkle it in. Obviously, you're gonna have to go a little over the top with my favorite character, who Ryan thinks is just a marketing tool, even though he's super dope. He's the medic, Ryan. You're gonna love him. It's Tony
I want to be
Chopper.
very
He's
clear.
the doctor.
I haven't watched the anime. He could be a really cool deal. All I know is I Googled him really fast. I saw the picture of the character and went, "Oh my god, it's a stuffed animal."
Once
He's
again,
so-
everybody's way better after the time skip. I love his little kung fu panda body after the time skip.
I honestly, I love the fact that everybody calls him a raccoon dog for whatever that is, and he's like, "I'm a reindeer," and like, he has to get really mad at him for them to like. They're like, "Ugh."
So with this, more anime live action has been announced because we're getting long in the tooth in regards to One Piece stuff. So now they're talking about a Devil May Cry anime. It's
a Devil May Cry anime or a Devil May Cry live action?
Live action, sorry.
Because the
live
anime
action.
is trash and it died.
Yeah, sorry.
So Netflix is making a new anime for Devil May Cry, and I'm actually kind of looking
live
forward
action?
to it. No, it's an anime.
I've
I'm
been
looking
praying
forward
for
to it
years.
because the 2007 Japanese Devil May Cry was iffy at best. Dante really didn't give off the vibe that he gives off in the games.
It's one of
and
my
I
favorite
absolutely
gaming franchises.
Oh, I adore. Well, DMC was a little weird, as far as the story goes for that. But like the first two Devil May Cries were amazing. I love Dante. He's got that very dry, crass sense of humor. Like he's very sardonic. He's very sarcastic. But he also knows that he's a total badass. So he kind of just like walks in. Even in fights where he knows he's going to get his ass kicked, he just kind of kicks the door and he's just like, "Here to fuck you up." And then he gets his shit wrecked, and he talks trash the whole way down, which I absolutely love, because he'll be straight up getting wrecked, and he'll just be like, "You hit like a bitch," and he's missing like 40 teeth.
He reminds me of John Constantine.
You don't love the chainsaw gun that you have to rev in Devil May Cry 5? The chainsaw gun sword? You have to like rev it to like power up your sword.
My thing is like, how do you throttle a sword without just rotating the blade?
It's weight and
we
gravity.
covered that in the good, the bad, the ugly weapons, man. It's chainswords. It's a thing.
Yeah.
All right, Eric, what's number 2?
I really thought it was though going to be live action. All right, anyway, so they're making the anime.
I'm happy with either. Like
But,
I'm here for it.
The actual point I was going to go with is everyone's faith in live action anime returned because of the solid ability by One Piece? Because there's still a bunch coming. Like there is other ones still coming. Like they're talking My Hero. I know is one of them.
There's no way My Hero gets done well as a live action. There's no way.
Yeah.
It'll be a girl in a bunny suit running around like punching people, and no. So the thing is like One Piece had the budget to do it. They had $18 million per episode. That is more than the last season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Yes.
Because it has such an IP and such a following. I don't think My Hero Academia could command that kind of live action dollar, and that's what's going to screw them over.
You don't think so?
Budget. No,
they've got some diehard fans. Don't get me wrong; it's a very popular.
Look at that new NBA crossover. Like that stuff looks nice.
Irrelevant.
Like the NBA gear.
It does. I'm not saying it doesn't, but
One Piece has any piece of merch you can think of. One Piece has NBA gear. Not like
One Piece started in like what 98, 99.
Yeah, no, it's super old. Like I get that.
Yeah.
Like
it has been going for
Eric, calling
forever.
It super old.
I mean, no, it's been like if you like I watched the first episode of the anime and it was awful. Like just the animation and stuff. Like I get that, and you are all correct in the sense of like it does have this huge following compared to like something like a My Hero or something. But I'm still going to be. I've got a little more faith now that they've done it once. is my thing. Like I personally do. I
Oda
know
was
everyone else
super
doesn't. But
involved though.
Yeah,
What's
the
that?
original creator was super involved in script, in casting,
Yes.
in how the animation was going to be handled.
And he was involved with like the rewrites and stuff like that when they wanted to change the stories, and he blessed off on all of it. So I get like, I actually like, I read a lot about One Piece, even though I've never been that interested in the anime. But I still think once Netflix does it once, they want to make money. They literally sell their souls for it. I have a little bit of faith. Like if One Piece didn't work, I was gonna be like, burn that whole department. But like, they did it with animated itself, like with Castlevania, and then moving on to the sequel, and like even the Godzilla anime was good.
Bastards. That's been a pretty good redo.
Bastards
Yeah,
been pretty good.
so I'm just saying, like,
So
Netflix has a good track record, hence the selling the soul to the devil, with things. So that's why, I mean,
Maybe they
They
just
also
have the
have a good track
anime
record of
fruit.
canceling good things.
So here's
Yep.
the thing. I am actually going to change my opinion. When you first said My Hero Academia, I recoiled. I was like, "There's no way they do that right." Now, I don't think the following and the subsequent budget is necessarily going to impact it as heavily as we expect. And I'm going to bring up the Dragon Ball movie because Dragon Ball got trashed when they made that movie. They did nothing
That movie-
right. They had a
The movie
huge
was
budget.
terrible.
Terrible casting, terrible story, terrible everything. It is one of the very few movies that I can find no redeeming factors for.
he beat up the bullies. That was awesome, and trashed their sports car. That was great. That was like every high school kid, like nerdy kid's dream, watching that shit happen.
Except that was not Goku.
Now, here's the thing. When you look at the trends in making these forms of media, we start looking at things like, let's look at comic book movies, right? It's one of the largest industries out there right now.
$30 million budget.
Yeah.
That's not
What?
large. It's a $30 million budget.
What
That
did?
was-
2009 for the Dragon Ball Z live
Was it only
action.
30 million?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm working off bad information, so I apologize for that.
I was
I'll
gonna say,
retract that
is
part of my
no
statement.
One Piece episode.
No, Albie, don't go back and watch the Dragon Ball movie. I'm going to warn you right now. Just leave that as a repressed memory
No,
and
do
don't
it.
think about it.
Do it, dude.
Therapy's
So-
expensive, Albie.
I will say, I think Ghost in the Shell was done well. I liked Cowboy Bebop. I liked One Piece. I like Alita Battle Angel, so they can do it in movies, they can do it in TV shows, and now they've seen it. Now, if there's one thing we can count on Hollywood to do, and Netflix and anybody else in the industry, is once they start making money, they will
Beat it
cookie
to
cut
death.
the shit out of that.
Yeah.
They will make 5,000 of them looks pointedly at the Blue Beetle movie. And
Didn't
DC
even know
can't
that
help but
movie
make
was
bad
out.
movies, though.
yeah. And so I fully expect that we will see more. And here's the benefit to doing live action anime is you have source material forever and ever and ever. And so I think they could do it. I think that they will move in very slowly by doing things like Trigun and Hunter x Hunter. And I think
Trigun
the
would
big
be a very
I think it'd be
easy
great.
live action adaptation, I think.
I don't know if I'd watch Hunter x Hunter live action.
No.
and I think
The
Gundam
monsters would be weird.
is
to
going to
do.
be the big one. If they take their time, they get the budget, and they do it right, I think Gundam could take it into the next level.
You could Pacific Rim it, I guess. I think that would be
Don't say it that way.
phrasing.
I want to see Red Dead Redemption live action. Henry Cavill as a cowboy. I'm here for
Yeah,
it.
I could get down
Wait,
on some Red
as-
Dead Redemption.
As Arthur Morgan or John?
John.
The
Maybe.
guy from the guy from Red Dead Redemption 1 or the one from Red Dead Redemption 2?
Ghost.
That's Arthur.
Okay,
And I don't
I'm not.
I don't want Henry Cavill to play him.
How dare
Okay, so these are
Oh,
yes
it'll
or
be
no
fine.
questions.
you? Uh-oh.
So, Yu Yu Hakusho. Yes or no? Netflix is these are all possibilities, by the way. They're not guaranteed to get made. But they're looking at Yu Yu.
I'm gonna pass.
Unless they cast Blake Griffin to play Koopa Bara, that show is going to be a 0. For those of you listening right now, Right, Ryan, I see you opening up. Look up Blake Griffin, Kubawara. That man was born to play it. I'm serious. Google it. It's so
All right.
amazing how amazing
Like
they
Blake
how
Griffin, the
alike they would.
basketball
Yeah,
player?
Blake Griffin,
Yeah.
the basketball player. Kubawara.
So here's my thing when it comes to Henry Cavill. Now, Henry Cavill, in my mind, is still absolutely sitting as king of the
You
nerds.
win. That is him.
It's the same guy. So much alike.
Yeah.
They're freaking
Oh my
identical.
god!
So it's you guys.
Okay, let's get through this list real quick. We gotta do
So-
this.
yeah.
So we got
Sorry.
Yu. Everyone's saying
right.
no.
No.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. That
You've
they
been
have
wrong
casted.
before, but I believe.
Yep, I have faith. I believe in that
Yeah.
one.
Let's do it.
Yeah, they've cast it and everything. It looks like they're talking about redoing Death Note.
Yes, because I think they could have. Death Note shouldn't have been as hard as it was.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been. So I'm going to say yes because I have faith they can learn from their mistakes.
And it's the people making Death Note are the ones that made Stranger Things. Just
Wait, are
to
they
throw that
bringing
out
Willem Dafoe back to play Death?
there.
I may change my
no,
mind if they
does
can
not
get Willem
say.
Dafoe to play Death. Well, then I'm out.
No.
But
Pokemon, the live action series.
yes, because the
Yeah.
movie was so well done.
Detective Pikachu was great. I have faith.
I would take an entire movie of Tordiles.
Squirtle
And-
Gang.
My Hero Academia.
Man, I don't know. I'm going to
I
go
don't-
no on this one.
I don't think they like this one here. It's just because there's so many superpowers. It's gonna be they gotta
I
limit it. It's gonna be interesting.
Well,
The
here's the thing.
fights.
Everything interesting about My Hero
Ooh.
Academia is about the superpowers. The characters are not unique. Their motivations are not unique. Their personalities are not unique. They're very blasé and bland. But the powers move it up. And
Oh.
that's going to be too expensive.
I think some of the characters are pretty decent.
Matt, I also liked Detective Pikachu, but I think if you do like a serialized live action, it's gonna get weird.
Oh, Sword Art Online. I missed that one.
I think that one
SAO?
will do well.
Yeah, that one will do good.
That's
Yeah,
just
that-
a night.
That's all.
That's all sword fight.
My favorite is like the first episode I saw of Sword Art Online. Somebody pulls out a gun. I'm like, wait a minute. It said
Yeah.
Sword. It said sword. Why is there a gun?
All right, guys, we're coming up on 90 minutes. We got to wrap.
Parry this, you filthy casual.
It was so good though.
All right, so
He ground
overall,
out the
we've
sword
talked.
game into a whole new technological level.
Yeah. We've talked about live action anime adaptations, spending a crazy amount of time on One Piece because, in case it isn't obvious, all of us really, really enjoyed the live action adaptation on Netflix. I encourage each of you to go and watch it, figure it out for yourselves. And I do have faith that we are going to see some very high quality anime live action adaptations coming down the pipe very soon. So,
Yeah, for those of you that are technologically inclined that feel like doing so, please create a change.org petition to have Blake Griffin play Kuwabara. Jesus, I can't get his name right tonight. Because it's destiny. It's fate that man play that character. So if we're going to do a live action Yu Yu Hakusho, if they don't cast Blake Griffin, I am not watching an episode. I don't care how well it's done.
all right, guys, I am going to take one more opportunity. If you're at the end of the episode, you've listened to us talk, that means you like our stuff, or at least you have us on in the background. So please take a minute, take a moment, click the like button, give us a share, tell your friends about us, and make sure that we're getting out there, because all of that algorithm stuff really helps keep the lights on and keeps this show coming out week after week. So please give us a comment, give us a share, and I want to hear from each of you what you would like to see as the next kind of anime live action adaptation. You can let us know on YouTube. You can let us know on our Facebook page. All of our links are in our link tree. Go check it out. Let us know what you think, what you would be excited about, and whether or not you think any of the animes on this list are going to be good or bad.
Is everybody here next week?
I'm here.
All right, so who's picking the topic? We're gonna throw it out there.
Clark is up.
Pressure's on.
We'll
announce it. We'll announce it.
Going out. So sorry.
Oh, my office is driving through a tunnel.
Yeah, I hear my mom calling me.
I think I left my stove on fire. I have to go. We'll announce it on the
another good one.
Facebook page.
We'll announce it on the Facebook page. If anybody that's listening has an episode topic they want to hear 4 random nerds discuss, throw it up on Facebook, let us know, and maybe your episode suggestion will be featured on Crossing the Nerdverse.
And on a serious note, we have made time every Thursday night, and we will continue to make time every Thursday night, so you can count on us. Kind of like all them TV shows like Batman back in the day. Another bat time, another bat
Same
day
bad
or whatever
time,
you
same
said.
bad channel.
Yeah. Except we're same nerd time, same nerd channel group.
Sure.
Something like that.
If you guys let me pick the topic, I'm going to talk about the Mossiverse for 3 hours, and you guys can just listen to me.
Travis, and with that, and with that,
we're going to bring this episode to a close. We've been Crossing the Nerdverse. Thanks for joining us. Find us wherever you get your podcast from, and we will catch you next time.
See you guys.
Ooh.